Hey guys, happy Vlogmas day 15, I think it's the 15th. I finished my book, The Persepolis by Marjan Satrapi, so I finished it, and yes, I am giving this a 5-star. My second Iranian book I'm giving a 5-star to this year. I guess the Islamic Revolution just fascinates me, but I want to go through my notes here with y'all. And first, it's even when there is a war, we have our own struggles. And I think that was something that was so hard for Marjan to come to terms with, that yes, her struggles are still important and that the things that she's going through still matter, even if they aren't something as big in the grand scheme of things as war, that we all still have our emotions. And then another one is that she didn't fit anywhere after going back to Iran. In the West, she felt like an Iranian, and then in Iran, she was just westernized, that all the other girls were kind of like, they were jealous of her, to just put it bluntly. They were jealous of her because she got to experience the West. She knew about makeup and knew about all the trends, so she didn't really fit in Iran either. And that is something that I find a lot in reading about experiences of people who were immigrants or refugees, that they have that disoriental, one of my favorite books, that is what that premise is, of not fitting in somewhere. And this is the first book that I read where the character goes back to the country that they originated from. So the other Iranian books I've read, they usually take place in America or in France or, you know, in a different country. When this one is taking place, we see the character. This is a memoir, this is nonfiction, but we see our author go back to Iran and experience life in Iran after having lived in the West, going back to this very traditional country with an oppressive government after living in Austria in the West. And then war and life, they are very similar, which is kind of crazy to say, but we have our battles through life. Life can be hard. Sometimes we're going to have victories. Sometimes we're going to be defeated. Just like in war, sometimes you're going to have success. Sometimes you're going to fail. And it's just this long journey that you have to go on. And sometimes it doesn't feel like you're moving very far at all, but really you are developing and evolving so much. I was thinking about this the other night. I was thinking, am I the same person that I was when I was in high school? No, at least from my perspective, no, I don't think so. And even it might not look that way on the outside, or it might not look that way to others, but what matters is what's in your heart, in your brain. And how life and war is hard, yes, but human beings are much more resilient than we think. And that was the quote that I think really described the war and life. And we have a scene where Marjan is taking a test to get into university. And this is a test about her ideas of how countries should be run, what is right, what is wrong. And she goes up, gives her complete honest answers about wearing the veil, what is permitted in Iran and what isn't, which is very risque. She could take a big punishment for this, but luckily the man who was orchestrating the test was a truly religious person who really believes what the Quran says, rather than rather than using religion as a shield, using religion as a weapon. Now, I was only told in school to use the Bible as a sword, and I don't necessarily think that's wrong, no, but I think that you really need to live by the teachings. And a lot of what people use religion as an excuse. They latch onto religion and all of that. You just have to read it to better understand what I'm trying to say. And then there was a scene where there are so many rules in place, you couldn't even think about freedom because the rules were being so strict and patrolled. There is a committee, the Committee of the Revolution, that if you are breaking a rule, you might get sent to them. But it's like, okay, is my veil pinned back good enough? Are my colored socks showing? Do I have any nail polish on my hands? Where you're having to think about all these things before going out that you're not thinking of, I want my freedom, because you're thinking of all these other things rather than actually thinking of how do we get out of this? How do we improve the situation that we are in? And then I have two more quotes to end my thoughts on this book with. My father always let me live the way I felt was right, and luckily that's the same for me. And I think that is so important, that I wish every family was like that. Again, I am so blessed that my family lets me do what I want to do. They let me live my life even though I might make mistakes, because her father even told the mother, he's like, she has to learn somehow. And that is true, that you will make mistakes in life, but luckily and hopefully you will learn from those mistakes. And that is just how life works. That is how you become a better person. It's how you educate yourself, which we're going to get to educating yourself in a minute. And that is all that life is about, just doing what you feel is right and learning from things if they don't go as planned. And I honestly love her family for that, her father for that. I talked about earlier in earlier vlogs about this book, how I think there is a huge theme of family and the distance that love and a family can take you. And lastly, one must educate oneself. And I tell y'all all the time, in this world we live in, it is so important. And this extremely important, these people living under this regime who are being told, how I told y'all, like, your veil has to be a certain way, your clothes have to be a certain style, like a certain fit, you can't wear makeup, you can't listen to certain kinds of music, you can't live a secular lifestyle. And I think it is so, so important that you educate yourself. And I see so many people say not to do your own research. I talked about this with Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. Do your own research, but make sure you are using legit sources and everything. You need to do, like her father said, what feels right for you. And that's where I'm going to end this. I loved this book. I think this should be a required reading. It is a graphic memoir, and there are definitely some tough themes, so do look into that before picking up the book. But this is an incredible book, and it definitely does deserve to be only 100 best books of the century so far. I really want a part two to see where Marjan's life has taken her, because this was published back in, I think 2003 was this translated, and this is a complete Persepolis, so this is 1 and 2, so maybe it's a third one that I won't, but I'm so curious to know where her life has taken her. I'm definitely going to have to look her up. She now lives in Paris and is a contributor to magazines and newspapers, and I know there has been a major motion picture from Sony Pictures Classics of this book, so hopefully I will watch the adaptation at some point. But that is all for today, for the weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a Christmas emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!